are back at the Cantina this week, talking comics.
Yes.
You know you've been waiting for this one, and we too have awaited the dawn for long enough. It's time to go in on Hidden Empire, and as a bonus, we're going to cover Sana Staros as well.
Yeah.
Both 5-issue series.
Yeah, and Han and Chewie too, right?
Yeah, Han and Chewie.
Yeah, finish up Han and Chewie finally. Yeah, I'm a little sad we're so far behind, but it did just feel good to just like take a backstroke through a bunch of comics and catch up on these things. Hopefully you're here with us and want to talk about these arcs because there's amazing story arcs. They're super fun. Hidden Empire, I think, was my favorite. I really loved that. But Sana Staros was amazing. Just Ireland. I was like, I forgot she had written that, and I was like, oh yeah, like I'm in for this story, and it was fantastic.
I was laughing.
And it's so good, and just the amount of, and we'll talk about it as it comes up, but just the amount of crossover and work they're doing these comics to connect all of the different timelines together is kind of wild in terms of all the references. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they tie the High Republic into everything now. To their credit, really cool. But I can't believe they're just like so like
locations, characters. It's amazing, really. Like,
it's a little mentally
so many crossovers.
Like for a person that's like trying to keep track of all this, and like suddenly you have to reconcile like a 200-300 year gap. I'm like, oh god, I've got to remember this. I'm like, I've got to remember,
It's like, does
Apex
Grammy
Sigma
Thea know like Deva Lompop? Like, how does she know? Was she introduced to her as a young child? Like,
I think it's
interesting to see.
There was a Deva Lompop. Like she popped up, no pun intended, in the
High Republic.
In the High Republic, right? Or the Battle of Jedha?
She's I think so. She's a very long-lived species. That's the other thing that complicates timelines in the Star Wars galaxy is that we're not dealing with normal like human lifespans. Like you have characters that can live.
Yeah, she's in everything.
500, 600, 900 years. Yep. Yeah. I remember that. I mean, we'll talk about it when we get there, but they reference the Staroses as a family in the High Republic books quite a bit. So
the daughter had a major thing. I mean, I remember that was her mom created like that death device or something, and then she had to like bust her, and then
was that A Test of Courage? Was that the book we reviewed? I think on our previous podcast show.
No, I think it was the second novel of Phase 1.
I think
the like battle at the amusement park / the World's Fair, Galaxy's Fair sort of thing.
Oh, the Valo,
Oh, right, yeah. That sounds right. Yep.
I think,
Valo.
I think that was the side plot that Elzar Mann and his homeboy were chasing down.
Yeah.
That was really fun. I mean, just the tie-ins, just obviously Avon Staros being a major character in the High Republic as well. She was first appeared in Test of Courage. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay.
But just so many tie-ins. I really, really loved all that connected material. Even the locations. I mean, like the locations we go to in these comics are basically locations straight out of the High Republic. Yep. So that's cool.
Yep.
But
and the other thing that I will like to our listeners who are just like might be like feeling overwhelmed and like I don't have time for all these connections. They're not integral to the plot. It actually reminds me, maybe because I'm just reading Stephen King right now, but it reminds me of Stephen King. Like Stephen King likes to like tie in his novels to one another. Like characters keep showing up, but you don't need any of that information to appreciate it by itself. And the same with the comics. Like it is a standalone
what evil
story.
Entity is not a thinny, Adam? Tell me.
Comes out of a thinny?
Are they all thinnies? Yeah. Like is it all connected?
They're all creatures coming out of the thinny sent by Ronald Flagg.
They all prey on sorrow and pain in Stephen King. Yeah, it's just it's all connected. It's wonderful. But the tapestry they're weaving in Star Wars is like something I've never seen before, honestly. In terms of like all these High Republic authors just jump in to writing novels and then they jump into the comics and they're sort of like bringing all their characters with them wherever they go. Never seen this before. It's so cool.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was, did Claudia Gray create the Maxine Station? Or was it, because obviously Charles Soule wrote it into his book, but
I think Soule created. It also might have been one of those things where they created
it
during the writer session, like during that writers retreat. I'm guessing. But the other reason I know, and like not to self brag or on part of the podcast,
Please
but like
do.
we posted about the Maxine Station on Instagram, and Claudia Gray specifically like not even liked it, but said, "Yeah, this is really really important. Keep an eye out for this."
That's right.
Right, and sure enough, it keeps popping up as like a really kind of sacred place.
It's one of my favorite locations. Oh my god, it's a trap. I've got trapped on my. Okay, I'm
It's
good.
a trap.
It's a trap.
It's trap.
I make that reference all the time, but I never expect anyone to like really resonate with it. So thank you guys for doing that.
Oh,
I should have gave it its due. It's a trap. It's still funny to me. I don't know.
It's pretty great.
What do you guys?
Can't go wrong.
I had an order in mind before we signed on here for how to sort of run through these comics and give them their due. Can I share that with you? And you guys,
Please do.
Go for it.
I was thinking Son of Staros first because it kind of stands alone, and then Han and Chewie, and then finish with Hidden Empire. Does that sound fun to y'all?
Sure. Yeah. If that's the order you
like that.
Going. Yeah.
It's an
I was
order.
going to.
It's
I was going to push right into the dawn, but no, I love the idea of covering kind of the character focused pieces, and then we can jump into like that giant sort of plot.
Yeah, I feel like we'll have the most
hinging moment.
Right. We'll have a lot to say about Hidden Empire, I think, because it draws in so many characters. So that's what I was thinking. We could probably, chat about Sana and Han pretty quick.
Yeah.
Especially since Han's really we're just doing the back half of his arc there. But rad. So Justina Ireland, the first standalone for Son of Staros, and we meet her family. She goes to her grandmother's compound after another breakup with Afra. We meet her pregnant cousin and her aunt. And that was all pretty cool. Love the family dynamic of the Staroses. And it seems like they kind of
the Hosnian system. We get to go to Hosnian Prime. That's where they're located.
Yeah.
The Staros Enclave.
Yeah.
Ancestral home, they say. So now that we've been introduced to more and more members, it seems that the family stretches way back. And it's funny that Sana, or I guess San Sisi, or whatever they call it. They have
Sinisi. Nicknames
for each other. They're just Cincy, I think, is the nickname, or Sinisi is the nickname. And then the cousin's name is Risi. And that's the kind of their childhood nicknames that you learn in this. But you meet so many new characters, and it seems like this home might stretch back to Avon, Staros. Like this, if they call it the ancestral home, I wonder, how many Staros have lived there and moved through that location. So very cool. But it burns down quite quick. It's like hi bye. That thing just gets torched by the Empire. But it's cool to learn that Sana has a twin brother. That was pretty wild. In Fel, Staros, who joined the Empire, and that's kind of, there's a great sort of reveal at the end of the issue as to why he joined the Empire, and sort of we can get into that after our spoiler bumper. But I feel like I just loved like this comic, and I feel like I laughed throughout reading this series. Like I think Justina Ireland is, if I had to rate all the comics side by side, I think this was my favorite comic, just because I was laughing outright throughout this comic, like the jokes. The family dynamic, Marl Gibbs just coming out of the shadows and just getting smoked every time, and then like the zoo we go to, like there's so much cool stuff in this series in particular.
Yeah, I loved all that stuff too. The time with zoo, Kend, I think, was the Weequay that makes a couple. Jand. Thank you, Jand. He makes a couple appearances. He's a fun character too. I always love animal-centric things, and we learn more about Rancors, which is always fun.
Yeah, I should say I have some Sancho Low next to me, not to be confused with juvenile Rancor urine, which is featured heavily in this in the third or fourth issue, I think, of this series. So that was pretty. Yeah, that was some interesting territory to stomp into.
That was in the drawing art of someone pouring Rancor urine on themselves was was drawn quite well. I was just like,
I could barely even look at it. I was like, ugh.
I know,
but good times. Can
we talk about the animals at this bubble at the Wild Molina's Animal Adventure? Can we talk about this stuff?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There are bubble sharks.
Yes, they're bubble sharks.
Ice gators, harag scythes.
Yes.
Mastiffs, clocko fish. And then earlier in the series, we Jand, as we talked about, brings her to meet these creatures that are called poaxters. That are basically like pink, kind of like large guinea pigs, and they basically have pink milk. They kind of produce pink milk, and so pink milk's been invented in this series. I think we have more creatures per comic series than any other series I've ever read before. There are so many. Why you should read the comics really is because there's so much new lore and material. And the Haragshites, probably the coolest creature I've seen in a long time. They look awesome. Like it looks like the dragon from Willow or something.
Like King Gojira, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, really fun. Yeah, good for Justina for just like going hard at like. She's like, no, I want all the creatures. And there was one panel there where I forget it was just a like non-named characters with these little birds on the ground, and they look like wild condors to me. Like the creature that follows Ahsoka around. I don't know if that was intentional or not, or they're just cute looking birds, but they were cute and they look like condors.
Yeah,
nice, good call. Yeah, I just similarly like this is the series I probably have the least amount of notes on, just because it was just I really kept getting sucked into it and not really like thinking about like analyzing it. And I think part of it is, as we talked about, like just love the family dynamics, love the strong like matriarchal family, right? And all of the different generations. I thought it was so well written, and I like that having Fel in there as well. Is it doesn't make this an easy like. There's a clear villain, right? There is a clear villain in this story for sure, but having a part of the family be on the side of the Empire is important. I think it makes it feel more true.
Yeah, and so just to like fill it in, I mean, essentially. He felt a little alienated in his family, and no one was there for him. He was one of the troubled kids. It sounds like they were all troubled in that family. They're all bounty hunters and assassins and whatever. Even Grammy, Staros was like a sniper for Enfys Nest. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
Yeah, that's the one I've been trying to like see if we see that character in Solo or not. But
Yeah, pretty great. But, so Fel...
I think is like an explosives expert. Like,
yes.
Arishi's mom. Very cool.
Yes, but a lot of Sabine Wren vibes there where it's just like, can we just use explosives?
Yeah. I love this ensemble. This was like my favorite ensemble out of all the series I've read recently, too. Loved this ensemble.
Yeah, really fun. So Fel stole these records from... Avon Staros, right, from the High Republic. That's the MacGuffin here, and they kind of went undercover to get this. And also, and I'm gonna forget her name. I think you said it's Reese was the nickname. But
Arishi or Reese is her nickname when they were kids, but Arishi, I think it's
Arishi. Right. So she is pregnant with twins of her own.
Arisha.
Right. By a not the best. Imperial officer in the group really doesn't really seem like a real catch personality wise. So
no, or like I don't know. I'll say this as a person with some extra pounds on him, a lot of extra pounds. Like they didn't draw him attractive, so you can't even go that side of it too, right? I kind of really
just standing in the corner.
I really appreciate that.
Crassus Ello, I think Captain Crassus Ello is the guy's name, but she Arishi. All's in love, thinks she can. It's strange as to why she even marries this guy or gets with this guy in the first place. But it's clear that he's the villain. Like it's clear that this was a mistake. Yes, she's gonna have. She's pregnant, and yes, she's gonna have these twins. But what's great about this comic is it just shows this toxicity of him just trying to like keep her aboard his flagship, and then and he's just the grossest dude. Like it's a really fun issue. And then Fel is like it's like these are the people who felt joined. Like this is telling him who Fel is as well. So it's like the issue does such a good job of sort of like showing the kind of moral decay that you go through if you join the Empire.
Yeah. Can we talk Fel?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a specific they show in a series of flashbacks Fel's turn to the Empire.
Yes.
And it's in issue 4.
Yeah, they hold back on it till the end of like the series, basically.
Yeah, and when they're showing him in the Imperial prison, there is something on his forehead. Did you catch that?
No, what's on his forehead?
I did not catch that.
He has a disc-shaped object on his forehead. in issue 4. I'll have to find exact panel of it, but I will say that I think what's happening here is not that he wasn't already falling down the path of the Empire. I think we're setting up what was used for First Order brainwashing techniques.
Oh,
I think there's some of it going on that he's brainwashed.
nice.
I don't not to say that he's not like willingly joining the Empire and starting to fall down that, but I think there's some conditioning going on there, which is really interesting. So I'm trying to like find the panel.
That's interesting. That's fascinating. I'm sure. I always thought there was some sort of reprogramming that happens, or when they
like
enter the academy.
Like that.
But
yeah, we know they have the technology, right? Because they're doing it to Inquisitors, so they could if they wanted to employ that on prisoners. Because he was captured and he was like in Imperial prison, and then suddenly he's an officer.
I mean, they're already like the Ministry of Information's already like pumping so much propaganda, into these people's ears, and then the Coalition for Progress or whatever made up mandates that the Emperor sort of creates to trap people in his brainwashing campaigns. It's fascinating. I'm sure everyone who's joined an Imperial Academy is brainwashed in some way.
Yeah.
But
so again, not like
at the end in the escape pod, he's like losing his mind. So there's definitely some sort of there's something going on.
Other thing, right? Like something is going on in there. And it's again, not to give him like a free pass, because I don't think that's what Justine Ireland's suggesting with this, but just he's a vulnerable person, right? Emotionally vulnerable during this whole thing. Goes down that down that line and ends up kind of getting pushed a little further.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like the family dynamic and the kind of role he plays in there. I just like how it's kind of inverted, where this is like clearly a matriarchy. It's like the Staros name is like seems to be passed down from woman to woman. There's some fathers around, and they're revered.
Nar Shaddaa still? The dads, I think?
Yeah, the
Fel
dads.
and Sanas? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they're spoken to reverently. I think, Starfall says, your dad's raised you better than that. And actually, I think she was speaking to Fel.
Well, Sana even says, I should have just gone to my dad's, because they would have like brought Fel to order, or something.
Yeah.
I just think
it's a... Yeah, I mean it's patriarchal, right? Matriarchal. It's very matriarchal. And you look at so I have the family tree, the Sanos Staros or the Staros family tree. I pulled it up on Wikipedia because I was just trying to get names down. And it's like you go all the way up to like Avon, right? And Avon's mother's named it's Gira, right? If you remember Gira Staros, and then father's just Avon Staros' father. Yeah. That's the only name. You're right. You go to Sanos Staros' father. Yeah. Right, like that's all that's mentioned there. Same thing when you get to like everyone else. Like they're the only patriarch that's named in the lineage is the one we met, the Imperial that we met in this story, right? Arisha's.
Oh, really? I wouldn't even count
husband or like father. That's the only male name in this entire that actually is like not part of the line.
Well, ex-husband,
not born of a woman. Yeah, I would assume. I mean, I don't know what the annulment laws are in the galaxy, but
right on.
Yeah.
Who's to say he's gonna be a captain after this? He just lost his ship. I don't.
So this was what I was gonna say was the reason why she married him was his ship. I think that was it, because this is a Raider class Corvette. It is elite. The only other use of this ship ever that we've seen is the Corvus, driven by Inferno Squadron. That's their personal get-around buggy.
Yeah.
This is the same make of starship. This is nice. This is luxury.
Yeah. If we're starting ship watch now, like I have so many notes. Like I like the Vector bundle, honestly.
The Vector bundle
ship. I was super into that name. I just love that ship. Yeah, I think that the Raider class Star Destroyer you're talking about is what do they call it? The King's Ransom?
King's
Ransom,
the name?
Yeah, sweet name. So
I was like, do they even have Kings?
It's because the data cube was on there that Arisha wanted to get close, close to it.
Yeah, and
really,
steal it
but
back.
I mean, she is pretty earnest with Sana, where she's like, like I don't know why I fell for him, but I thought I could fix him. I didn't think he was as broken a person as we find out he is, and it's sort of I thought I thought that was truth in some way, but
pretty relatable.
I like this
actually.
Theory. I like the theory too. Where it's a massive long game, but I mean, I don't know. It's he's still the father, right? I guess so.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it just says like it ends. It's just like the end. So for everyone listening, like this is the end of the series, right? Yeah. And I'm just like, so many loose ends, and I don't know who decides what over at the Marvel side or the Star Wars side of Marvel. But can we please just get another 5 issues?
Yeah. Oh, we definitely need another 5 issues because we just got introduced to like the Genetian Collective, which is Devin Lompop's whole like crew with Lenitra, who's like my new favorite character, just out of design, the sake of design and the cool tattoos, and like she's just such a cool character.
Yes, and a new love interest for Sana. There was that was the most powerful.
Afra just left in the dust. Yes. Final 2 panels are just rough,
dude.
Yeah.
It's like almost like Afra can tell. Like Afra's just like crying.
Yeah, like was thinking of.
It's like the So,
I bet there's.
I want to talk about
too. Right? Like you've read those issues, Adam, right? Where it's like that's a moment when she collapses under the tree. That's actually from her run, the Afra series, right?
Yeah. They're all from Afra. Like they're all like actually happened. But the thing I wanted to say too is I love how much, and we'll talk about this when we see another character where pop up in the Solo series. But I really do love how Afra's behaviors and actions like ripple through the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
And just like by like her having the bar scene where she uses the Staros name that gets it's from the comics. Like you see that happen in another comic. And I read these far enough apart that I forgot, and I'm like, oh, that's right, because it's such like a throwaway thing in the Afra comic with just her being like thumbing her nose at Sana Staros. And then like I just love that in another comic, you're like, oh no, that has consequences. Yeah,
disaster.
And it's such an Afra thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Afra is such a mess. I love her.
Yeah,
I like that she's just arguing constantly. I think that's my favorite part of Afra, because she even the flashback of them at Barleth University talking about like Sana basically defending Afra while she's arguing with someone in the lecture. Like that's the best when there's real dissent in a classroom, in a class, and you're basically having it out, and then like someone supports your view and is like, this view is correct and this person's clearly wrong. It's like, it's so much fun to have like a real debate. And I love that Sana and Afra are sort of like academics and intellectuals where it's like, I imagine they'll be back together. As much as I think they'll both, experience the galaxy in all its fullest, I feel like they'll definitely end up together again. Yeah. It's just, that's my hunch.
I think so. I think that's such a great like, will they, won't they, should they, shouldn't they storytelling that like they're gonna keep bumping into each other literally and figuratively. And then I was gonna say with when we introduce, it's the other thing I like about the Sana Staros character is like to have a character that is just introduced as like a surprise. Han has an ex-wife. Remember, that's how we're introduced to Sana Staros.
Yeah,
is that she's Han's ex-wife. It's just such a funny little moment, and to have this character still like continuing to have such a rich life of her own, it's so wonderful.
Yeah, super fun.
I really love just how it's all woven in there, and I feel like I just don't understand why maybe the live action can't follow suit with this sort of writing. I love this sort of like normalization of sort of queer characters. Like I just think that this is Justin Ireland does a better job than I think most other Star Wars stories, and sort of just incorporating it into the flow of the story, and it makes it just feel so vivid and organic. And then like you just there's certain moments in like Rise of Skywalker, and just we all know these times that Disney and Lucasfilm have tried to do this in live action.
2-second kiss work. That's just like, hey, look, we're doing it. We're doing the
like
work.
Cutaway kiss. Like what is going on? Like
we're at the bar. We're having a bar talk, right? So let's go there for a second. I love it. I love how much they're doing in the comics and the books for representation in a good way. That feels like a fuller and more realistic galaxy.
Yeah.
And it's just like I'm like, you know what? I want to applaud them because they're doing it, but they're doing it to a very small proportion of the audience that are doing this. And I'm like, just grow a set of whatever.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And do it. And you don't even just do it a TV show. Like, come on. Like, you have so many shows. Like, one of these characters can't be queer and that be part of their personality. That is like not a big thing. But like, I don't know. Anyway, we don't have to go down the whole thing. But I'm just, the more I read it and the more I see the work they're doing in the books and the comics, it really makes me annoyed that they're just so scared to do it anywhere else.
Yeah. I wonder if it's like an age bracket thing where they're like so afraid to get out of the 4 quadrants in like the feature films.
I think so.
But they have no fear about it in the comics or the books.
But that's why I say normalization.
No, because they're not.
I just don't understand why that's even that to me. That's like antiquated political theory.
Yeah, absolutely.
You also have the China problem.
Yeah.
Right. Like especially with movies, like you just not
whatever.
Yeah, they're just not gonna show it if you can't edit it out easily, which is that Rise of Skywalker. I guarantee if you watch that, they edit out that 2-second chase kiss.
Yeah.
But if Star Wars is such an innovator on sort of technology and what's possible with motion picture language and then what's possible with sort of like your imagination on screen, I don't understand why it can't push forward, progressive initiatives that are important and I think support, so many people than the audiences that you are shoveling, your stuff into. And it's just like, I don't get it, honestly. It doesn't make sense. But Justine Ireland definitely showing us the light here and showing us how you can do it in a way that it's just so beautiful. And you actually you like those characters so much more than everyone else. And the relationship feels so real. And you're just like this is, and it's just done so well. And I'm like, why isn't there a Son of Star Wars Disney Plus series doing this?
Honestly.
Basically? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the other thing I'll say is it's just to be fair, it's not a Star. We haven't said this, but it's to our listeners who are probably acknowledging it's not even just a Star Wars problem. It's just an issue with every major. Yeah. Like you get it in Marvel, you get it in DC, you get it in Fast and the Furious. Though that's gotten a little more like anything that you get out there that's a major blockbuster series. Yeah. They're not touching.
But I mean, like if you're already making like Ahsoka. Like that is weird, and people just don't know what's going on in that show. Like I'm guessing general audiences who have not seen Rebels just are like, what is going on and what is happening? Mm-hmm. And I just don't understand why you couldn't do a Son of Staros sort of like show that sort of just sort of moves into this queer territory that I think is just wonderful and is provided such an incredible series in Son of Staros, and then. I think we can do something with Afra too. I don't understand why Afra and Son of Stars are not on Disney Plus already as sort of premium prestige series like Andor or something that like Ahsoka even, where it's like you're making big bets. Like I don't understand why this isn't one of them. Is kind of my.
I feel like they're really like constrained by Joseph Campbell and the Hero of 1,000 Faces, and it just seems like everything live action needs to be strict adherence to the hero's journey, and it needs to be this epic classic. It just like Afra is an amazing character, and she's a serial, and it's just like it could just go and go and go, and it like doesn't need this. She doesn't need retribution, but like I don't think they're brave enough yet to be able to be like, this is a anti-hero that you really shouldn't be rooting for, but here she is, and she's going to fumble through it. Like, I just, Boba Fett was their chance to do that, and they just did it.
I know, and they didn't know. I mean, if they're not going to do it with Boba Fett, they're not going to do it with anyone. And the thing about it is, like, with the Afra thing, is just like, it's also weird because Star Wars comes from Lucasfilm. There's a template there that they've developed, literally called Indiana Jones. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like if you watch the first couple of Indiana Jones, like he is someone, you root for him, but he's not like the best guy in the world, right? Like when you watch those movies, and he is a hero, but he's very focused on it's serialized, right? And like that's the thing. There's no growth in Indiana Jones. My favorite is he's Bond. He just resets. Yeah. Sees things in the next movie, doesn't believe in anything every single time. It's great. Do it.
Yeah. I mean, that
don't you think Afra has that like extra layer to it though? It has almost like it feels like Looking or Insecure on HBO a little bit. There's relationship drama that's it's 100%. Wonderful. Yep. It's almost like Indiana Jones Plus to me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's what I think it's missing. It has a whole other layer to it that Indiana Jones is sort of classic, good old-fashioned adventure, whereas Afra's good old-fashioned adventure plus real deep relationship analysis,
ethical issues,
ethical issues, academia, like it has so much fun stuff built into it. Well, I guess Indiana Jones has that too, and there's that you have to do a couple
I think you're right though.
Yeah, you have.
It's deeper than that. And I think the other thing though is like what I want from her if it was a series is that like she is someone who she's the antagonist and the protagonist.
Yeah.
Like she's her own antagonist, right? She constantly gets in her own way. right? Like that is what I like about Afra's character. Is she is always making things harder for herself.
Right.
Constantly.
She doesn't really need antagonists because the galaxy's so dangerous. It's her getting like she could easily just make a couple good choices and not be running for her life all the time, but she always makes the right choice.
Yep.
I wonder if the only reason that they don't do it is because of Indiana Jones. Like it's like yeah, I think it's Indiana Jones Evolved is what Dr. Avra is. It's like an evolved, like version. But I just wonder if it's just a little bit too similar. I don't know. I
think they've run out of MacGuffins at this point because after reading all these comics, I'm like, these are MacGuffin heavy. Like it is.
I know.
Like there's a lot. As much as I am praising the character work and praising the queer, representation, like. There is a lot of MacGuffins in the storytelling.
That's what I like about it.
Oh, yeah, I know there's good ones, but I'm worried about an Afra series because what's left.
Right. Well, what's left is the end of her hero's journey. It's like, they would have to explain who the character is, and it's like, Afra's last quest.
Well, that's the Spurrier run. Like to me, that happened, and it was executed magnificently in this last year.
But if you're doing 6-episode seasons, you just need a MacGuffin per season. Right? Like, you don't need a MacGuffin per episode.
And that's what we're getting in these comics. Sometimes it's like, this person's kidnapped. This item. We need this item. Like,
yeah. I will say, I know we're not talking about Afra. We'll eventually get caught up. But boy, am I so glad the Spark Eternal is done. I was like,
what about the Sword of Null, Adam?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I love like all the relevance.
I don't need more Null in my Marvel anything, by the way. I'm good with Null.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, are we good? Do you want to talk about Venom? Like, do you want to talk about character? Anyway, no, we're not going to talk about it.
We're not talking about it.
I don't want to talk about it. Just stop it, Marvel. Stop it.
Let's pivot over to Han and Chewie.
Yeah.
Okay. And just to get through it.
So perfect transition because this is serialized storytelling that is just heist after heist after heist. And I literally just said, why is this not an ongoing comic series? I want this comic series. I just want the Han and Solo series, like just heist after heist after heist, and them getting in their own way and then getting themselves out of it. Like I loved it. I really, really enjoy this comic.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's endlessly fun.
Right. So we just did the last 5 episodes. This was a 10 episode or issue series, right? And we covered the beginning of it like a year ago. But here's the back end, and it was done like I think last fall, but here we are. We're getting caught up. We're getting there. But yeah, so it's him. I think at this point, like Han Solo's dead, presumed dead, but he was just abandoned, and then he's chasing after whatever's in this urn, and they don't know what it is. This might even carry
Jabba.
Yeah, it's like it's something for Jabba. It's a bounty for Jabba. Mm-hmm. And like, is this the thing that like puts? No, this isn't what puts him on the outs.
No, but the thing is a pretty big thing in the Dark Droid series that's going on right now.
I haven't read that yet. Is that where he is?
Really funny.
What's his name?
Because you're like it's the neural core of Ajax
Sigma, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Ajax Sigma is a very important character in
Dark Droids?
in the Dark Droid
series.
Yeah. So it's just fascinating to watch this because I remember when I read this first time, I'm like, all right, here's a MacGuffin, whatever. It's never gonna pay off, and then oh boy, it pays off. Like so.
Yeah, anyway. The payoffs are good when they do introduce something. It's usually a good payoff.
But I mean, as far as this goes, they break into Moff Tarkin's like office, right? Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah, they pull a heist.
Coming back.
There's a jailbreak episode. Like this is what I want. Like this is old. This is it. Like there's a jailbreak, couple of series. There's a heist in the Moff Tarkins.
There's like a species that like nurses Han back to health, and he doesn't speak their language. He's like the least culturally sensitive character in Star Wars. Also, like this guy was like ready to kick the Ewoks off their own platforms. Even after they like saved everyone's lives and then like won the battle. But like, they
were trying to burn him alive, so I just
fair.
To be fair.
Was, documented cannibals
like 12 hours ago.
And then he and then he like steals a guy's ship and like, with the driver still in it, but then like graciously like sends him back on his way like at the end. Very Han Solo maneuver.
It was a bummer. So it's so funny. I noticed like when you're reading this, the cover art is Harrison Ford, Han Solo for the most part. And the inside is very much more Aaron, Han Solo with like twinges of Harrison Ford. It just made me really bummed because I'm like, we're just never, and we're probably getting Lando, but we're just never getting Solo 2 because this is what they're doing, like this. Because I read this and I'm like, if this is what they gave me for Solo 2, which is just like you meet Jabba, he meets Jabba, he goes on a heist for Jabba, he gets teamed up with Greedo, like all this other stuff happens. Like I would have been so happy as this was just Solo 2 of just like a heist story, right, with a little bit of character development. Speaking of Greedo, I love how much of a tool Greedo is in the series and how bad he is and how he keeps getting it handed to him. Like just keeps getting his backside handed to him.
He thinks he's so tough, and then it's just like no one likes Greedo, which is poor. I can't even say poor Greedo because he is annoying, and they're all ruthless.
He is very annoying.
Hair's breadth away from the difference between scoundrel and lovable scoundrel.
Yep. Two other things that are kind of callbacks. One is we get Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan in jail. Yep. They get one of their death sentences, and they get their life's narrowly saved in this. And I'm like, it's so like part of me is just like I remember when they showed up in Rogue One. I had to be honest, that was that cameo was a bit of an eye-rolling moment for me in the theater.
Please. It's just fun.
Yeah, now I'm come back around, but now I think I've come back around. I was like, can we just put them in everything and our heroes keep accidentally saving their lives?
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of fun. I think that Rogue One is just such a masterpiece in that it exactly mirrors. Like, I bet you could like time stamp it and like fold the two movies in half, and like you run into Bamba and Dr. Evazan at the exact same moment if in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Conversely, like I think that's why they were there. It's like, it's just like the opposite reflection of A New Hope. The Bizarro World thing, and I think that's why they were there. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't mind a gratuitous reference, like a gratuitous.
I don't mind it I'm coming around to it if it's like a minor character, right? It's almost better than a major character.
I get so much joy out of that. Like, give me Lobot someplace weird.
I know we need more Lobot. I'm scared for Lobot, but we'll talk when we get to Dark Droids.
No.
So when we're talking about Dr. Evazan, like Maz has this whole thing of just like, please try not to kill anyone, like freeing these people, knowing they're like murderers, and like let us not forget that Dr. Evazan is known for like creating the decraniated
servants. He just like cuts the top of your head off and like where the brain goes, makes your head flat, and then turns you into a robot, like a droid.
Is this before or after he goes to the bar?
Oh,
during.
No, it's
during. Like he's.
I'm used to it at this point. I'm desensitized to it, but when I saw that for the first time, I was terrified. I mean, he is the Hannibal Lecter of.
He's a scary dude.
Star Wars.
That's true.
He's terrifying. I feel like they should.
For me, it'd always be that Faison Gore guy from the Daniel Jose Alder book, Last Shot. Remember that?
Similar.
It's like the Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
He was just.
Yeah, what was he? He was a Utapauan.
Yeah,
he was a
Powan.
He's a Powan, or he's a Powan.
And and he was trying to turn beings into droids. So similar idea, right? But he would He would slowly mechanize people and turn them into
he was a cyborg type. Yeah. It was very cyborg.
All right, we might need to when Dark Droids finishes up. We might need to like jump ahead of the
queue.
Of the Disney or the queue of the Marvel Unlimited, and read those because there's so much I just want to say right now.
Okay. Here we are. We're staying on course. What do you got to say about Han Solo?
The other thing is that what do you think? We got the origins of the training ball in this book.
What? I mean, it was like used as a weapon.
Did you catch that?
Right? It was like weaponized.
Yeah, and we see him like the training remote.
Yeah.
It's used as a weapon, and then he's just like he has it, and then he just like puts it away in the Falcon.
It's the training remote.
So like,
it's
the training remote that like that was famous from episode 4 and
Python like 10,000.
But in terms of like the one that Luke uses, that like Obi-Wan's just like, oh look, we'll just use this training remote.
Yeah,
and then
like why would he have a lightsaber training remote on in the Millennium Falcon?
Right,
it's so
just
true.
And I'm like, I saw like, right,
yeah. Oh, that's actually great. You know, that flew over my head. I'm like, why does this person have a training remote like as a weapon? And like,
that's me too. I'm just like, why is this a story?
Yeah.
Adam's like to explain.
I have to say these comics are so wild that like I don't even really try to like connect the threads. Like I'm just sort of like along for the ride and I just go for it. And half the action I don't really even understand what happened. Like I'm like, oh, were they crushed by something or like I don't, because they hide a lot of accent.
Example of this, by the way, of like, are you trying to really follow this and connect the dots? Because if you do with the Knights of Ren, you're just like, dude, these guys are like the punks who hang out under the bleachers.
Yeah,
like
they're the D-gens, dude. If you watch Letterkenny, they are the D-gens.
Just the worst.
Yeah, they're just the worst. It's like
they're just the worst. Who would have thought?
Yeah, they're just
I
like
thought they were so cool in the Force Awakens.
They're like candy flipping in the parking lot and dancing to like Euro techno like Kraftwerk just to be like edgy.
Yep.
Yeah. You're nailing it so hard right now.
Stop it. Yeah. Any hoozle. I don't know. I didn't have much to say about Han and Chewie. It's just like it's another great Han and Chewie adventure.
I read this a while ago.
Yeah.
Is this Guggenheim writing this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, who was it? Yeah. You blanked out a second.
Mark Guggenheim.
Okay. Yeah. They're written.
No, I reread it quickly for this, and I forgot how much it was. It just was like a nice, fun heist, easy go, and like they tried to do this whole thing, and it was resolved in the first 5 issues of like Han's quote unquote father, which is one of the most annoying reveals, mostly because the internet, like when that first said, is just like they revealed who Han Solo's father is in the comics. That's so dumb, and I'm like, guys, it's not his father. And then like 5 issues later, it's like, yep,
not his dad. Same thing with Son of Staros, right? I mean, that's probably why.
Didn't his dad build the YT like 1000?
Yeah, his dad worked in the shipyards. I think that's what he talks about, right? And
ships,
so he built those. He might have had his hand on the Millennium Falcon.
That issue of a comic would blow my mind.
Yeah, I mean the Millennium Falcon is Han Solo's Excalibur, right?
Yeah. There's one of the last old EU books was just called Millennium Falcon, and it was it followed the Millennium Falcon through like 5 or 6 different short stories.
I remember that
throughout its existence.
Yeah, I read that.
It was super fun. Like it was just a super fun whatever, but like I just loved it like when it had old names and it was just like kind of similar to what we talk about like Han, like just this ship has the will of the Force behind it in an interesting right? Like just touched by the Force. That's just really interesting.
No, it's very cool.
Yeah,
I would just love to see certain point of view turned into a comic series, like adapt all those stories because they're so pertinent to like what we love basically, and actually like take place, in the minutes and moments around moments that we love in the films.
Yeah. Have you started reading Return of the Jedi? Either of you guys?
Yes, I am freaking out. Like it's so cool.
I'm like 20% of the way through it, but I did the I think the plan is to cover that next week, right? We're gonna do that. I've been doing the audiobook, which I forgot how much I love the audiobook from a certain point of view because they get different people for every single short story, so you get different voices, and some are better than others, but it's always fun to get a different. So I'm kind of going back and forth, but we'll cover that next week,
everyone.
But it's so much fun.
Get that book, and if you have it already, or whatever, we'll talk about it next week, and probably just do a bunch of greatest hits because it's 40 stories. It's meaty. I'm trying to pull out a couple excerpts from every like thing just to like have something to at least like a sentence to say about everything. But anyways, I digress.
It's going to be. I think we're going to have to do very much like what was your favorite? What did you know that stuff? Because to be like cover every single one. But there's good so far. Like I have. We'll talk about. A lot of Max Rebo. Some might say too much Max Rebo. Some might say trying to write out a slapstick visual comedy is not necessarily the way to present that medium. Anyway, here's a preview next week.
There it is. Anything?
But mostly still love that story. Anyway,
anything we're missing on Han Solo and Chewie? I mean, it's just it's a rock.
Great jokes. I was laughing out loud in this one too.
It's a farcical romp through the galaxy.
Super fun read. It was like a good follow-up. Felt very true to the characters.
Yeah. Chewie fakes his death. Yeah. Chewie's very trusting, and then he's a good character study. And I don't know, the great bits.
There's
of
also
Chewie.
subtle recanonization of like old material from the books, right? In this series, like is Socorro still a thing?
Socorro?
I don't know. Yeah,
it's Smuggler's Haven planet.
Socorro. Yeah. That's a thing.
That's where they. What happened? That's where they used to run through there all the time to get missions and do missions and stuff like that. That was where Han. That's where their old stomping ground.
Right on.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Even more so than Tatooine, and cool. And there was some. I think a lot of Nar Shaddaa in the mentions in the Staros, right? That was the last.
Yeah, Nar Shaddaa mentioned many times in Staros. I love that. That's the sort of stuff that I love in the comics. Is when they. Those old, deep, those pulls way back. Yeah.
If someone was trying to find a natural way to have a character speak in Huttese, you'd probably want to put them on Nar Shaddaa, and they might have a reason to speak Huttese.
Yes.
Just saying.
Right. Yeah, we talked about this recently. Like,
apropos of nothing.
What? Trivia: in how many saga films did Anakin speak Huttese? Turns out
1,
2.
2.
When Attack of the Clones, when he talks to
Attack
Watto
of the Clones
in the market.
Yeah, he talks to Watto. He goes,
again.
Tonga Watto when he first sees him, right? What does he say? He says, I love it. Like, I just love, Oh, my down and out Watto might be my favorite character in the prequel series. I
lost
Annie, little Annie. Probably shouldn't be doing that voice. Moving on.
That's all right.
No, that's great. So the thing that
it's a problematic character to begin with.
Yeah. It's fine. The text that we got from Grant was he's like, how cool would it be to hear Darth Vader speak Huttese? And the answer is it would be very cool. It'd be insane. It'd be an insane moment. And there's plenty of opportunities for it. We just need Charles Soule to figure that out. And or anyone really, just to make that happen.
I think he has. I have in the comics, possibly. I think we'll have to do a deep dive.
Yeah, I thought there was like a Sebulba crossover where they see each other again, but
me too.
But I might have that might be a fever dream or something.
Okay, I could have sworn.
Speaking of Charles,
Grogu is behind you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Grogu's got to go outside and chase frogs.
The ears are
I think I'm ready to move on because I'm sorry I loved both of these comics, but I really love this.
But they're not.
And did y'all read Revelations? So there was a single issue, like precursor to Hidden Empire, that sort of put a wrap on like the Crimson Reign, and then forecasted sort of what was happening next across all the different stories. I don't know if you read it or not, but
I did when it first came out. No, it's
a Darth Vader.
So I read it.
It's like Darth Vader's conversation with the Eye of the Webbish Bog is the priest.
We read this a while ago. I think.
I don't know if we covered it.
Well, I don't remember. I read it a while ago. Part of the thing is, a lot of it is. So
wait, can we not talk about this? Because I have a huge surprise that's like connected to all of that.
All right,
later.
Sure, I will just say my issue with that issue of comic is that they did a lot of things where they would lift 4 or 5 pages out of the upcoming comics and prepackage it. It's like the comic book equivalent of a clip episode of a sitcom. So I got a little like sometimes that bums me out where I'm just like, I spent $5 on this.
Right.
Isn't there Darth Vader Black, White, and Red or something like that out right now?
Yeah.
We'll cover it. We'll cover that when it comes.
There's 3 issues on Unlimited right now. I've been eyeing it.
I have it tracked. It's on our
2 or 3 issues out already.
Yeah, right? 3 on Unlimited.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think everything has come out on stands, but not on Unlimited yet. 1 through 4. There's 4 issues. I have it. We also have like the Return of the Jedi one shots that are coming out. We'll have to cover all.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 of those out already as well on Unlimited.
And there's
the Shadow of Starlight is like the aftermath, the kind of like aftermath of Starlight.
Yeah, I have that there too. Yeah, we're gonna have to cover all these when they hit.
Check in.
Oh, I can't wait for Mo.
Don't have the hard.
Anyhoozle, it sort of forecasts what's.
Are you guys ready? Are we ready for the dawn? Are we going to Dawnfall Fortress?
Yes, let's go.
Are we fighting?
Yeah, right.
The Emperor himself.
Just like unlimited resources. So this is the Hidden Empire arc, right? So this is what happens after Crimson Reign. And this is the end game for Kira, and this is her plan to destroy the Sith.
Yeah. So basically, just a quick summary when we talk about Crimson Reign, right? Basically, as we know from the end of Solo, Kira is the leader of Crimson Dawn, and she's been basically littering the galaxy with sleeper agents. Very much. Every single thing in the Empire, in the Underworld, in the Rebellion, like everywhere you possibly can, there are Crimson Dawn sleeper agents, and now she has finally decided to take her battle out of the darkness, right into the light.
And because I think it all falls down because she finally has a weapon that can defeat the Sith, which is
the Fermata cage.
Yeah.
The Fermata.
She had the
screaming key that she took from Vader's castle to unlock the Fermata cage, which was said to hold an ancient Sith from a bygone era, thousands of years ago. Yeah.
I think it wasn't it. They
developed by Mammon,
right? So we don't know if it's
It's also revealed in this series that Maul was trying to do that as well. He was trying to. And was that from Rebels? Was that unlocking that spirit in the temple in Rebels? Like, what was that an allusion to? I wonder.
I don't think it was an allusion to anything. I think it's a reference to what we didn't see about Maul's role in Crimson Dawn. Is my guess.
So a story to come, right?
Yeah, which might be part of. I don't know. We still have to read Crimson Climb, that came out, right? That was like Kira's backstory. That's like
was that
her
a novelization?
rise. It's a YA novelization by what's her name? Her name's escaping me. She did the Handmaid's novels.
E.K. Johnston.
E.K.
Johnston. Yeah, which is super great. So that's out. We'll cover that. That came out last month.
I didn't see that on the list.
Actually,
I didn't see that on the spreadsheet, Adam.
I'm looking at it right now. It is highlighted in yellow, indicating that it is. We can cover it. It is out. It came out on October 10th or October 14th. Is a YA novel.
Right. That'll be fun. I wish we had kind of dovetailed it with this thing too, but that's right. That'll be fun.
That's a lot.
Well, that is cool. That's she at least talks about Maul's sort of motivations. I think after Solo and before Rebels, so that's pretty cool.
Well, we could pivot and we could do that next week. So we're keeping the Crimson Reign Kira thing going, but
Kira's coming back in fall 2023. There's another.
Did you read that
her
too?
Story's coming back. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't even try to decode that in the back. It's a waste of time.
I did.
It's like classified coming fall 20. I was like, why am I am such a? I'm an 8-year-old.
Well, but that's all that was referring to is
Zodiac.
That was referring to Dark Droids.
You think?
100%, because Dark Droids is a direct follow up to what happens in this book, which I'll talk about later.
Everything comes back to Dark Droids.
There's one scene where it has to do with the Spark Eternal going into
that device at the end.
In the end. Yeah. That
in
device
the Fermata cage
is what sets in the Fermata cage. That comes out of the Fermata cage. I feel like we're talking gibberish. The thing that comes out of the Fermata cage.
So this is a Kira Revenge-O-Matic, is what this series is
about. But the Spark Eternal going into that relic sets off the entire events of Dark Droids, which I cannot wait to talk about because it's
nice.
Because it's body horror in Star Wars.
Oh, great!
Oh, nice.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Good. What if droids were trying to become flesh? I'm just saying. Boy. We shall find out.
Boy. I'm so excited.
Yeah, but this is also great too. So I just want to talk about the Fermata cage. I have a couple of quotes, which is like my favorite. It's very Afro. So basically, it's supposed to freeze individual moments, use the dark side to suspend people and places in time forever. And then my favorite is from issue 2. It's something like an hourglass, but the sand is comprised of miniature black holes held in place by a dark side matrix.
Yes. That makes sense. Yeah. Somehow the matrix withstood. As Beaumont Kin would probably analyze that.
Yeah. Dark science cloning.
Dark science cloning? Miniature black holes? Makes sense. It all makes sense. So it's great. And then what's the name of the crone? It's Sarah or Riva.
Oh, Sava's son, the archivist.
The archivist.
Yeah, the archivist.
So so this is a Charles Soule run, and I love him. And I wanted him.
Oh, the cloaked figures at the beginning?
Yes.
I was like, who are these people?
The narrative choice to make it
so good.
The whole thing is written in storyteller format from the archivist point of view, recanting this story in a hollow globe. It's like not really a holocron, and it's being witnessed by these two
Cyclopean stone temple grounds or a temple chamber of some kind.
Yeah, and two cloaked figures are just watching this thing together.
In Jedi robes, clearly
in Jedi robes,
could be Jedi. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The silhouette is like unmistakably like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
It's looks very, but quote unquote, long after the fall, right? I think is what they say. Yep. So it is, sometimes post Return of the Jedi.
Wait, really? Is that what they were saying?
It says long after the fall and the fall of the Empire. So this is post ROTJ. When these two robed figures are watching us.
Okay, because I read it a different way when those cloaked figures eventually interact. I thought they were being a little...
No, I knew it was way in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah. Well, fascinating. I just love that narrative device. I love that that's how he chose to tell the story. Like, it was surprising, and it was fun.
Me too.
It was different, and it was just great, man.
And the overarching plot's pretty straightforward. Apart from all the MacGuffin talk, it's basically Kira wants to destroy the Sith. That is her goal. That is, she's doing everything she can in 5 issues, right, to take out Palps and Vader.
Yeah, great speech to Palps where she's like, I had no voice when you stole this galaxy.
Yeah,
like I've saved every cent to like take you down. Like she's basically this is all about this master plan that she's devised. It works. It works. But then again,
it works.
Highlighted there's
not
a group of characters who are the absolute worst. They're the worst.
But it's kind of like Kira's the one that called on them to help. But like these degens, dude.
Yeah, it's like siding with Maul. It's like the same thing. It's like, who is this guy? Who is this friend? Yeah. Like he doesn't take his shoes off. Like, what's happening?
Exactly. Oh God.
It's like, because even in this, like Palpatine has so many zingers in this too, where he's just, it's all about, unbottling Palpatine. I think that's what Sewell's trying to do. It's like, he wants to get under Palpatine's skin, because I just reread Darth Plagueis by James Luceno, and I was like, just blown away. Like, again, I think Tarkin, that book, like Luceno just cries, or all that stuff.
Well, yeah, we don't get a lot of Palps, and we get like intimate Palps in this, like at the crest of his power, and like Kira's trying to make him scared, which is like no one does that. And I mean, no one takes on the Sith, and he like even says that. He's like, who in their right mind would do this? Like, you must be bonkers. So, but she kind of does make him scared when
she does
with this Fermata cage.
Palpatine's a petty little blank in this book.
He loves espresso martinis.
He has so many lines. Yeah, let me just give you a couple of lines about him and Maul. Maul's life was defined by one essential quality. He was not quite good enough. You are the child of a poisoned lineage. Yeah.
It's so...
And then my other favorite line is... the woman undoubtedly believes her clever. Indeed, perhaps she is. Certainly brighter than the dim light of Maul. She will be
just keeps dunking on Maul.
So petty. Time. I know. Yeah.
He never misses an opportunity to dunk on like a fallen foe. Like whatever.
Yep.
Who's he like?
He's like, we cannot risk this Sith, my friend. And then Vader's like, yes, my master. I was just like, this is such a bad few issues for Vader. He just looks like in this. It's just bad.
I will say, but he has kind of a badass moment where he just basically becomes Jaws from the movie Jaws. So he gets splashed with acid. Just walks into the ocean. Just walks in. Just goes under the water, and everyone else is like, "Oh man, we got to get out of here." He's coming out of the ocean, and then just like a couple panels, you just see his head slowly cresting and coming back out of the ocean. Like, you just made him Jaws.
Literally made him Jaws.
You are dead, and I am your death. I was like, yes, let's go. That line was just incredible.
That's a great line.
I know. I felt like Sewell was swinging for like all I smell is, or like all I see is dead men in fear. Yeah.
Yes, right.
Yeah, like they're all just like legendary super metal.
Those incredibly awesome moments. Just like when he's fighting Pelps, like there's one panel where it was like Pelps wants to spar because he hasn't used his lightsaber in quite some time, and turns out loves using his lightsaber and is just an absolute freak. And then
yeah, that happens. I will say I'm not a fan of like action.
But then Vader has
Palps.
killing blow. He can land a killing blow on Palpatine, and it's just your interpretation of your panel that decides what you think in this moment. He basically has his lightsaber right over Palpatine's head, like not even. It's over his like shoulder and his neck. It's like it's inches away from his neck, and then Palpatine's like, "That's enough," or whatever, and like Vader either Vader basically retracts his lightsaber, or Palpatine stopping it like Kylo Ren, basically, like holding.
But he turned his back to Vader. Like, it was such a power move. Yeah. It was such a power move. Like, you are so my, like, my toady that, like, you will not even kill me with my back to you. Like, and I'm giving you all that chance. And I was like, that panel hurt.
He's like, look, we cannot risk to lose what we have created, my friend. And I was just like, this guy.
Yeah.
Just gotta
doing everything. He is. I mean, I will always talk about the fact that I love Palpatine. Not if he's a real actual person, but as a character, because like I think he does have a lot of master plans, and I think he's also the master of the pivot, which is like everything is according to his plan, which is like my favorite thing. And I think he mostly, apart from the couple of times he's been thrown down holes, has mostly lived up to that. But like, there's a line at the end of, I think it's like literally the very end, where he's just like, "Come, Lord Vader, enough of these small matters."
He's like, dude, you almost died.
Like, and I just love that line. Enough of these small matters.
Yeah. Why do we drive to the beach today?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That was some of my favorite stuff. I mean, so, finally there's this conflict on the Amaxian station. So we're tying into our thing from the beginning. The only way to use this Fermata cage is if it has like a lot of dark energy to like suck in, and also some life energy. It just eats everything that's around it in order to open. And she's like, I know a place, and it's the Amaxian station again. This is it's like a Sith temple where they buried the Drengir. They've like used Sith powers to control the Drengir that's there. There's a great line. She's like, I hope you like salad. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, Amaxian Station.
And that's part of that two-pronged plan, right? Like to open it up on the Amaxian Station, lure the Executor there with Palpatine and Vader, and then her fleet basically attacks, right? Too at the same time. And I love when the Admiral's just like, the shield, we've diverted all power to the shield generators. But like, so just be a few moments before we can like totally annihilate the planet. And then that's like,
they're like
too long. Palpatine.
Too long. Moments like I'll see you later. It's like he's literally itching for a fight. He can feel this happening, and he is like ready. Like he's had too many peons and like moving chess pieces. He wants to battle another Sith. Like this is like.
Well, I think he does.
I think he wants to blow up the planet with the ship, the Star Destroyer. I don't think he wanted to even fight. I was like, I think he just wants to blow up the planet or blow up that.
And he could have.
Well, I think. Now, trying to like give him some benefit of the doubt, right? We're now in the timeline. We're between episode 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Right. So at this point, Vader knows that Luke is his son, and Palps knows this, and Palp might be concerned, reasonably, that Vader probably wants to turn Luke to the dark side and take him over. Right. So he has to reestablish his badassness. Yeah. Right. So there's part of me of like he might be peacocking. For Vader, right? A little bit like, remember, I'm much more powerful than you think I am.
I love that. I mean, the real story we know is that like it would Palpatine foresees his doom in Luke, and I forget what story we read that in, but that
one of the hundreds of things
I know that might even have been of like an Empire Strikes Back. I don't know.
Maybe a certain point of view.
Yeah,
right?
like that's the Empire Strikes Back certain point of view, but it was a powerful chapter about the Emperor foreseeing having this prophecy of being destroyed by Luke Skywalker. So one thing that I loved in this was the power of scale. Like they really showed the scale. So it was like, Kira has amassed a fleet, like a bigger or as big as the Republic fleet, privately held. that she's just keeping in her back pocket for this sort of occasion. And all it's going against is the Executor class Super Star Destroyer. I say all, but I was like, okay, I mean, Super Star Destroyers are big. I mean, they're massive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, like Star Destroyers dock inside of the Super Star Destroyer. Like, it's massive. but I was like pretty surprised that not only could it hold off the attack of this entire fleet, that it was still prepared to destroy the Amaxian station if it needed to. So I was like, oh, all right. Like, that was an interesting sort of point of scale that you don't always get from these things.
Totally. Can we talk about Kira a little bit? I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but like, this is kind of we got a lot of her in Crimson Reign, right? And was there another series before? Oh, War of the Bounty Hunters. The poorly named War of the Bounty Hunters. Great series.
Right, because
they clearly had something else in mind.
It was like a catch-all
when they named it that.
It was almost like an underworld war.
It was underworld. They named it. They thought they were gonna do something else, and then I'm guessing that Sewell came in and pitched. Oh no, I have a much bigger thing in mind.
Well, in this series, they even says like there's even a scene where Palpatine's talking to the heads of 6 different crime syndicates, and he's like, you lost the war or whatever, and it's like, but it wasn't the war of the crime syndicates, which would have made more sense.
No, it was the war
of okay, but
so between the Samastaros and Hidden Empire, we have 2 new syndicates. We have the Genetian Collective, and then there's Zarek Bresh, I think you said.
Thank you for
which Palpatine's talking to, and I'm like, what? Who are these people?
Well, and the face for the Zarek Bresh is fuzzy. You can't see what that person looks like. Do you notice that?
Okay.
Yeah, you can't tell what it is.
Is that an
I will always.
I
didn't click on it, but that did not sound familiar to me at all. I will say I will always shout out to the droid Gatra. We'll be talking more droids next week if we do from a certain point of view. But shout out to probably going to be my favorite. I'm only like 7 stories in, but I can't imagine anything beating it in the next 33 stories I have to read. But anyway, we'll get there. But I was going to say, so we have Kira in these stories, obviously. But I felt like this is the first time we got a very clear picture of what she's doing. And part of it is like, we know that she wants Palpatine and Vader dead. And the needle that Sewell had the thread was really fine, because the issue is like, then why don't you just join the rebellion, right? And she's made it very clear through the series, like, I don't think she actually hates the Empire as an idea, right? I think Kira's actually a pro-Empire person, believes in order, believes in this idea. She's anti-Sith, right? So I think she says the
pro-democracy.
She said, I'm not.
I would say
unregulated authoritarianism is not.
Yes,
right. I will say though, she says
be one person that has
issue
the power.
2.
That's.
No, but I'm not trying to destroy the Empire. I'm trying to end the Sith, right? Okay, then this series makes no sense. Then throw your muscle behind the rebellion, right? If you actually,
but then who gets power? Maza Maida? Like, that's not going to be any better,
right? No, I read it differently.
She's so focused.
I read it like,
what's going to happen after that?
I read it like she was saying, like, I'm not doing this so that I can take over. I'm doing it just so that. She's like, I don't think any one person should be in power, and I don't, and this one entity. And so I read it as she's just like, this was a blow for democracy and just taking down, dictators. But I mean, obviously, the Sith are, much worse than just your run-of-the-mill autocrat. This is like, dark wizards, dark magic, malevolent forces.
I will say, I appreciate what you're all saying. I think she's much further down the dark side, or the path of evil than we realized, and I think issue 3 really, the I am Chanath Cha really points out. Like, let me read this.
Chanath Cha, the orphans.
Chanath Cha.
Yep. Let me just read this. We'll talk more about this. Yeah. Chanath Cha believed her life was a story, one she was writing. She thought she knew the ending. She was wrong. Her life was a story, but not the one she thought. As it turns out, she was just a character in mine.
Yeah.
That is cold-blooded. Yeah. And when you read issue 3, she threw these orphans, which we'll talk more about them, but basically all these people are just orphans because of Vader, basically. Threw them at them, who had become really just believing in Kira's ideals as just cannon fodder, as just a way to buy minutes. Like their life,
but
their
Kira's
entire
not living
life.
it up at the end of the issue, though. She's like down.
No, I think she's. I think
even when the Emperor dies,
she is.
Like,
I think that's part of it, right? She sees. I think we know she's a good person. We know we saw Solo, right?
Yeah.
We know she starts out as a good soul. I think at this moment we see her at possibly the darkest moment of her life, right? Just obsessed with revenge and obsessed with killing the Sith. I think, which comes out of probably whatever happened with her and Maul. And I think when we see her again, spoiler at the end of this thing, we see her at the end of episode 6, basically in a bar watching this, and she is just alone and just done.
Yeah.
Like
not celebrating, not with friends. That was a really odd scene to me. You know, you feel bad for her. You're just like, is she so in hiding that she doesn't feel like she can even celebrate? Or is she just like, or is she reflecting on her failure? Because that's the way she's like, we failed.
See, I feel like Solo 2 for me is like, if they wanted to do a Solo 2, it's like, it's when they're older. Basically, it's after Return of the Jedi, and it's like that's why Leia's, why their marriage kind of breaks apart, like it, as well as Ben Solo, is that Kira is back in the picture, and it's like you do something redemptive with the character, where she didn't just fail to kill the Emperor, she didn't just fail at, you know, leading Crimson Dawn to any kind of victory. It's like, it's more of that, like, she gets to do something big, maybe like take out Prince Jizo or some, I don't know, whatever you want to do, which is like something huge that's cool, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something there. I mean, I read that last page is just, I sold my soul.
Yeah,
I did all of these horrible things to horrible people, to good people, and it amounted to nothing. And the rebellion did it, right? Like, and I could have had a chance to be part of that. Like, I could have chose the better path and actually accomplished my goals and not sacrificed all these people and things, right?
But Luke,
doesn't
Luke
mean her
Leia
story's over, right?
Validate everything she did as like actually like a super important contribution to their war effort for the rebellion, which was just like.
Which is so Luke and Leia, right? Like looking for the better part, which is like because that's the saddest thing too, is like if she sat down with Luke and Leia, they'd be like, yes, what you did was like whatever, but like you also
we could have
you did this for us, like
that's
we could have found another way.
Adam, for this point and the previous point, whatever I was arguing, I trust your comic comprehension 10 times more than me, and I think you're absolutely right, because then it makes sense, right? Then it's like. It's Kira being like, oh, I should have just teamed up with the rebellion. This is where my heart was all the time, and you know, my former love of my life was with them. Like, I should have known. And then like the first thing Leia says, so when the robes come off, we figure out it's Luke and Leia that are watching this club. Leia's like, why didn't she just join us? Or it was Luke. I don't know which one said it, but they were like, why didn't she just work with us? We had like the same goal, and so I think that was that's the mirror to the other scene there.
Kira's also like 10 steps ahead on the chessboard, though. Yeah. She basically had inside information on Palpatine, as well as like she was going to target both Vader and Palpatine. It wasn't like, let's start with Vader and work up to Palpatine. It's like, no, it's she wanted to take them both out quickly, and could have. Right. If it weren't for the Knights of Ren, sort of like trying to win. But this
is the Lucen Rail paradox, right? Like his problem. Like he's like you need to, like, you have a common cause, you know, and you have different tactics.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Disney Plus should do a series on Kira post ROTJ. It would be like the most incredible series. It'd be super dark and gritty and cool, and Maul's apprentice. Like this is a character that knows like Sith technique. Like, it's so cool to me. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, I loved this comic. I thought the Amaxian Station was really cool. As a location.
Do you guys remember reading Lords of the Sith?
It was this is very Lords of the Sith, where they're just fighting Vader and Palpatine
swinging lightsabers. Yeah. So I didn't love that book because it was just so like it was like kind of Marvel superheroes. It was so fantastic. It was like, I don't know. It's like eating ice cream that's all candy. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like too much of the like,
it was like a day hike.
Too much of what you think you want, and then you're sick by the end of it. Like you're like
But
just,
I have to say,
I had a burger like that last night.
Right. Like, you think you want a burger stuffed with bacon, stuffed with a turducken, stuffed with like blue cheese, but it's like, then you're like, whoa.
with jalapeno cream cheese on it. It was great. And then I was like awake all night.
Yeah, because your body's like trying to rationalize what you just ingested. But like this, I knew this would be like a single serving. This is like an appetizer. This is a very, rich appetizer. And that's what we got. And we even got the line where as they're fighting their way through the Amaxian station, this is Vader and Palpatine with their like entourage of Death Troopers and Imperial Guards, which is like, I'm sorry, it's just the coolest thing you've ever seen. It's like you've got the the shuttle, and you've got like the two figures in black, and then you've got all the warriors in red, and it's just like, and they're just leveling everybody. It's just the coolest thing you can run into. But I mean, the scene with Palpatine, who's just like, I miss this. And it was corny, and it was perfectly corny, and I just loved it. And he's right.
I think it's scary saber combat, like sort of like horror techniques. Like he basically is like blindingly fast. It's like it's a certain type of approach to saber combat that I think we yearn for in the films because it's terrifying, and it adds a whole level of tension and sort of drama to what's going on.
I love the panel.
He's spooky.
I love the panel where he's like.
He's giggling too throughout this.
He's like, Vader, stop playing with your food. It's beneath you. And he's like, yes, master. And then just like scare somebody. Because it was a little meta for me.
I like that a lot.
It's like, Vader, just smoke him. Like, why do you like keep like playing with your food? Like, just kill these people. You are so powerful. I
guess. But it seems like an Anakin move, doesn't it? Like
he's like, I want a fair fight or something. He just kind of wants to go through the forums a couple times with some people, and before he like lets them out.
Because it's boring otherwise.
I guess. But I mean, it's also just straight murderous, and maybe there is just an ounce of Anakin still in there that's just like, doesn't want to just like murder everybody. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think where we are on the timeline with him in the comics, but yeah.
Right. There's that like sine wave of like kind of close to being good again, and then back into the fold, and then I think this is after he's been pwned on Exegol and has just been like cowed again. Brought under.
I'm like now I'm back. I'm back in. Yeah,
and he's back in.
Usual. With Ochi of Bastoon. Comics are wild, everyone.
Yep. I'm glad we didn't get any Ochi Bastoon.
I was
like multiple
the helmet sort of like panels of just Vader just looking at stuff. Like I almost wish when he was gonna chop down Palpatine, or could have in the spar, that like it just shot to one panel of just his face.
Yeah, and a reflection in his eyes or something.
3 panels in a row of the face unmoving. It just shows passage of time.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my god, it's the same panel, it's the same drawing. What's going on?
Yeah.
Which is really funny when that happens on Marvel Unlimited if you're doing the panel view, because it literally just doesn't change.
Right, you're like, wait, what?
Because nowadays they don't redraw; they just copy paste.
We were talking about the pull to the light last week, and I just like how when Vader, you kind of just it's all a subjective interpretation of what's going on in that visage. You know what I mean? Whereas it's very on the nose with Kylo, where he's like, I feel the pull to the light. You know what I mean? It's just like It's Vader. It's just like, what's going on in there?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Right. It's like a blank canvas. You can just project whatever, you're thinking. Like it's like whatever the viewer wants to think in that moment. But it's like, it's so funny because that stupid mask is so emotive, even when, I don't know, even when it's like a subjective interpretation. Like it's fantastic.
It's like in that moment where he has the saber over Palpatine, I almost wanted that for just a hot second.
Yeah.
Like, what's he thinking?
I know. It's so great. And then they get trapped and they get freed by the losers, the Knights of Ren. And then the Knights of Ren get pwned because they're awful.
Yeah.
Thank you. I actually wrote that in my notes. I'm like, the Knights of Ren are awful, confirmed in my notes.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
That's
worst.
their legacy. But we would be amiss if we didn't talk about Cadelia, which I thought that was the most touching part of this whole arc. And by arc, I mean all of Hidden Empire, all of Crimson Reign, all of War of Bounty Hunters, because Cadelia was introduced at the beginning of Bounty Hunters 2 years ago or whatever. This child,
isn't she the heir to like the Unbroken Clan or something like that?
The Unbroken Clan, and
she's Unbroken and
the Unbroken Clan,
the other one,
and the Wind Talkers. And
Widow's
Ben
Wail. And I were both doing that. Of like
wailing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very
like
close.
It is whale, right? It is something
whale.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so bad. Where the
it's how dare us not remember the name
Unbroken
of the
Clan
other thing.
and the
Hidden Whale, nothing.
and Moby Dick. Cadelia. All right. So
Cadelia.
She gets the hollow message at the end. It's a whole thing.
Favorite part of Ben and I both going, the other one will get it.
Right, you're right.
And then neither of us getting the poll. And then now we're both seeing who
what
can
is
Google
Mourner's
faster.
Mourner's
Whale. That's exactly what it is.
That sounds right.
That's 100% what it is.
Balin's
it's always as you start to Google something, you remember it. It's such a weird. I would love to see that.
It's weird. On that. They say she's the royal line of the Unbroken Clan, but they don't say. I bet Wikipedia forgot Mourner's Whale as well.
But she definitely
Mourner's
is,
Whale
because it's like, what if Romeo and Juliet had a kid, basically? Like
exactly the Hatfields and McCoys love child. And so fascinating character, but then it's like, I don't know. She does kind of get adopted a long time ago when like it's just weird through all of War of the Bounty Hunters. She ends up with Kira. I don't even remember when that happened, but it was a while ago. And then she's kind of like this little protege that just, sits and watches Kira. And then it pays off at the end of this where you see the pre-recorded message from Kira. That's just like, listen, you're me. You were forced into this life, and I'm giving you what I never had, which is a choice. She gives her a ton of credits, and her freedom, and she's just like, figure it out. And like, I love that. That's just so great because, especially for storytelling. Now, who knows what she'll do?
And it's important because we're talking about, or I was talking about how much I think Kira's at her low point in certain ways in her revenge. She's obsessed with her revenge quest, right?
She's way down the
she's way down there. But having those moments with the Cadelia reminds us of who Kira is at the core, right? And I really, it was very touching because like you get that a little bit through Solo. Like some of my favorite parts of Solo is just like Han assuming that she's just done whatever, and she's just like, no, I've had to do things to get where I am, right? Mm-hmm. Like and like we don't get her perspective in that movie because it's not right. It's not Kira, a Star Wars story. It's Solo, right? And so I really do love that we feel that in this, but we also get that the heart of Kira that's there throughout the entirety of it.
And Han Solo is this hopeless romantic, hopeless optimist that's just like, we'll figure it out, and she's just like, bro, that's not my story. Like, when you've seen what I see,
she's a survivor and a realist.
Like, it's things aren't fun anymore. Like I've got to figure it out. Like you try working for a
buy-in too. Like there's so many people that are just like ride or die for Kira, and I'm just like, that's actually what's the most fascinating and compelling piece I think to all of this is that she's gotten everyone in almost like every branch of the Empire and every system under her loyalty and in her command, which is like so cool. I was like, this character's really found a way to get through to people with her messaging, and it's basically down with the Sith at the top, like Adam's saying. And I think everyone saw the buy-in on that, and everyone hated Palpatine, and Palpatine being like the political name you can assign to all of this hate, and sort of like that sort of fringe. And it was fascinating because it's like between this and sort of Fel joining the Empire and like sort of like fringe sort of people feeling disenfranchised, basically, like are doing radical things like militarizing and acting out, deadly campaigns to change the galaxy. It's like Kira is basically at the heart of this massive attack, against the Empire, and it's sort of like, and it's the top figures of the Empire, yet it's like buried. Like, it's why I think the power of that holo message is so cool to me, is basically like only Luke and Leia are seeing this. Like I feel like not a lot of people know about this story, honestly.
No, it's an intimate little tale that we're being privy to thanks to Charles Soule. Yeah.
But as they say, paved the path for the rebellion to be able to be successful. Like that's kind of the brilliant thing about this unknown story that.
Yeah, it's really fun, and it's Charles Soule.
It makes sense. Like it's just organic that people would rise up against Palpatine. It just feels like I imagine there was more movements than just Saw's partisans and Luthen Rail and Marva's speech. I mean, just everyone is ready to fight the Empire right after that speech as well. And it's sort of like it's a time of high tension in the galaxy because I think the injustice is just so visible.
The fist is starting to like tighten its grip, and everyone's like, I don't like this anymore.
Yep. Nope.
Yeah. Await the dawn. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, that was a sweet quote. When all the soldiers were saying that, I was like, "This is awesome."
Yeah,
this is just great writing from Sewell, honestly. Just all around. So good quality work.
Yeah, and I think,
dude, I love the Ceroto, that ship that Kira's secretly in when the Vermilion explodes and just like fly around.
Oh,
the
right.
ship is money. Like the design, I just loved it.
Yeah.
I love that ship.
Also pouring out for the Vermilion.
Yeah, the Vermilion.
Yeah,
man. Had a good run.
That has an attack mode. That has like a combat mode where basically like its wings all like shift around, and I was like, "This is awesome."
Did anyone else make the Transformers?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
In your mind when you were reading it. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Good. Children of the 80s and 90s.
Spark Eternal done with. Oh, that goes into the little coin that's going to go in droids.
Which is like, so that one scene literally says
the raiments of Lady Shaw. I think the archivist gives Kofan Ferris like that some robes that are basically the raiments of Lady Shaw.
Who's that?
Right. Yeah.
I didn't take the time to look that up. I'm sure.
Who knows?
I'm sure there's a YouTube video.
I know. How would you ever know about Lady Shaw if there's only some way we could figure it
out? I don't know. But like Kofan Ferris I just love their like it's very similar to Afro of just like, I'm out. Oh wait, you have this rare artifact that you're mentioning? I'm back in.
Bro. There's a Darth Shaw. And it's from in canon articles, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out. This must be Legends. But it doesn't say.
It sounded like some
Darth Shaw was a female humanoid Sith lady with the title of Darth.
Sith lady.
After hearing of a Force-sensitive sculptor named Momon, who had been imprisoned by his people, Lady Shaw went to free him and made him her apprentice. Yes. Eventually, she was slain by her apprentice.
And then I remember that story. Okay. It was in... Was that Afro?
I've never seen it.
It was. What the appearances are? I think we learned about that in the Vader series.
18.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shaw was a female humanoid who lived prior to the Sith rule of 2, which is blah, 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 blah. Yeah. No, we saw this in the Momon series there. So this is Momon's master, and that makes sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, can't we just get a Momon?
And I love that it's like series. Lord Vader and
really? I like Momon and all, but like he was kind of
Momon's my
beef when I saw
Momon's my number one ancient Sith.
All right, let's cast Momon right now.
Wait, number one ancient Sith series on Disney Plus? Yeah. Let's go. Are we doing
that right? Yeah.
Okay, we can start with that, but I want to cast Momon at some point too. Ancient Sith series? Right. Like, come on, dude. Darth Bane, bro. No.
Doing Nagasato and like the ancient Sith, like golden age of the Sith. Okay. Like I want to see like some Game of Thrones nonsense.
That sounds good. And you guys all know Knights of the Old Republic, which I don't, and I'm sure there's a lot of fodder in there. I know there's like a huge Revan contingency out there.
I wouldn't do it because the fan base is just out of control.
Right, they're out of control.
Who wants to touch that? That's like a third rail.
The Bane story really needs to happen, and the Bane and the
Tom Hardy is Bane.
Tom Hardy is Bane. Perfect.
100%. But Tom Hardy's going to show up in the Rey movie, so that's already done. So calling it now.
The meta.
I mean, maybe
would just be
Oh my god, the meta. I forgot.
Tom Hardy's the villain in the Rey.
He was Bane and Darth Bane.
I forgot he played Bane.
Oh man, that's so funny. That's so funny. Okay, but like, who are you casting as Momon? Because I feel like I can feel someone that like what Momon feels like to me, like
Timothy Chalamet or something. I don't know.
Not somewhat more of a foppish dandy. I feel like he's not.
I feel like Timothy Chalamet could definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Timothy Chalamet can do that, but I feel like there's someone more obvious. Like,
I mean, to be honest, when you say Timothy Chalamet, I think foppish dandy.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe you just nailed it. That's Momon.
But I don't know. Like we gotta get Cillian Murphy in here somewhere. Ooh. But that man's beautiful eyes should not be behind a mask. That you should never hide.
Like
I'm pro
Fassbender, maybe.
I've been like hearing so many podcasts like so smart to get the actor in the mask. I'm like, let them be in the mask the entire time. I don't.
Fassbender.
To come on.
So Ben pulled the Fassbender card. Can I say what a wild month for Fassbender coming up? He has he's in The Killer. by what's his name? I can't think of his name. Fincher. Also also the lead in a Taika Waititi movie called Next Goal Wins. So he is within a week starring as the lead of a super dark killer movie and a family soccer movie. So if anyone can play Mom,
it's
Fassbender.
I think he definitely could do it. I could listen to him like read the phone book, but I feel like there's like some like perfect like character actor that could just mom in.
So
maybe Hiddleston.
Here's the thing.
Honestly,
see, I would actually.
Hiddleston's good
as a draft because I feel like he works better in my Game of Thrones, like my ancient Golden Age of the Sith.
Yeah,
as like a.
I think Ben.
Like, honestly, because it's like I don't want to see him as a human ever again. I think we got that in Prometheus.
Yeah.
And like,
so I think Ben might have nailed it. The Tom Hiddleston, like we need someone who's like kind of lanky. But it'd be close, but you need someone who's lanky, right? You need someone with the hair.
Oh, yeah,
I almost want like, so this is kind of a reach, but Doug Jones, who is does the eyeball creature in Pan's Labyrinth, and he plays the creature, Lady in the Water, the creature, Lady in the Water. But he also is in Star Wars or Star. No, the Shape of Water. He's the creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm sorry, we can't call it that.
He is,
and then because
it's the African Lagoon.
Yeah, and that movie comes out of the fact that Guillermo del Toro couldn't do that movie because Universal took it away from him. He's like, all right, I'll make an Oscar winner, fine. And then the other one is that he was in, but he does play in a speaking role. And he's quite a big character in the Star Trek Discovery series. And so he can act, and he has a really good voice, and the lanky tallness of him, I think, is really interesting.
He has like a ballet dancer's build, is sort of the way I felt like he was drawn, and I'm like, who is that?
But all right, what about this though? Okay. What about if it's just Tom Hardy in the shadows?
For Mommin?
You don't even see anything.
That's the thing. You can plug Hardy in anywhere, but I don't think...
You can just plug him in anywhere.
But like Mommin, I think would be a waste. Like, we need like a trilogy, feature film trilogy with Hardy as the villain. That's how much Hardy I need.
It would be amazing.
I will also say...
Yeah, that is the stuff.
If we're doing a mask, you just need a body performance actor and someone doing the voice, right? Yeah. Like I mean,
Nathan Lane.
I mean, that's all Vader's. That's all Vader's ever been.
All right.
Well, right?
So we get a character actor and Nathan Lane's voice. I think Nathan Lane would be a great Mommin.
I think you're saying it with such confidence that you're selling it. And I'm like, maybe
I would be there.
Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of, like, Mommin's just like is different. Like, he's not this like physically imposing, terrible uber masculine. Like, that's not Mommin. He's
he's an art
nerd. He's like an art dork.
He's an art nerd, very soft spoken, well spoken. Like, I'm trying to think
thespian. Just like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, like that sort of thing. He's not like, yes, he's powerful and, can do all the moves and all that stuff. But it's like, he likes art. And, that's the thing.
Bill Hader.
Hader! Oh! Hader might be able to play him.
Yeah.
Hader is not a bad like live action thing. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. And it would be hilarious.
Yeah, he put a little spin on it, right?
You can't look at Hader and not laugh. I can't, anyways. Yeah, that would be fun.
But he can play dark and sullen, right? Like, look at Barry.
He would be great.
I love Barry. The best thing that turned into a straight-on drama.
Yeah,
when people talk
Barry,
about,
keep watching it. There's swings, 0 laughs.
I want to just do one quick tangent on big swings in Star Wars.
Please.
The biggest swing in Star Wars is in Darth Plagueis when it's just Tenebrous and Plagueis for like a couple chapters, and you're just like, these are two alien leads. Like, this to me is a big
Can you imagine
swing.
doing
a Biff
that?
and a Moon.
Wild. It's like, it's
just talking to each other.
So there's a lot of Tenebrous in that book. I think like the first third is just like Plagueis and Tenebrous, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, we're gonna cover. We're gonna cover Plagueis.
We're getting there. We're getting there in live action with Hera and Ahsoka on screen together. It's major characters.
No, but like a Moon, like and a
that's so they look
Biff,
crazy.
Like Sith.
Like, they're not very humanoid. They're humanoid, but their faces are they're just wild.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that would be wild. I mean, it would have to be like so much CG, and that would be like the whole budget. But like, it would be amazing. And they're all in like their weird decked out black, I'm sure. And then like Tenebrous is like, they both progressively need more life support systems because they're trying to stay alive forever.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like, that would look so cool.
That's the thing. Like, how much CG would you need if the face part was covered, right? Like in a mask?
Not much for Tenebrous.
Because like Bith are not super emotive.
Well, so Munists, their heads are too narrow.
The Munists
Yeah, so it's like you can't stuff a
hard.
human in a Munilist suit, but you could, and so you'd have a CG Munilist with like a live action Bith, which you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do a live action
But
Bith.
also like, if it's a Bith with a mask on, it would be so hard to get any emotion out of that,
That's why it's insane.
Yeah, but it's all.
Characters.
But I mean, guys, hold on. Darth Vader. I mean, Darth Vader has no. We talked about him earlier, right? There's no expression on
all
that
you
mask,
could do is like
right?
blink
so
the eyes on Bith. Like that would be all you could do.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's all about line delivery, right? It's all about how the lines are delivered. And the thing is, like, Munilist is like, I don't know, like you could do a person of a shorter stature in there, right, in a bodysuit that you could just have that be pretty practical. Like a lot of like things in Star Wars with practical puppeteering with a little bit of CGI.
Imagine you'd have like Edward Norton come in and just put mocap dots on him and just have like little like.
Edward Norton would be a great Mommin. He'd be a great Mommin.
I was thinking Plagueis, but it's all right.
No, Plagueis.
I mean, also good Plagueis, but like
I was thinking Bobcat Goldthwait as the voice of Plagueis. No. But current Bobcat, not old Bobcat, but it would be kind of funny.
No, not doing the voice. He'll hit it for a second just to please everyone, which is my favorite thing. If you've ever seen Bobcat do stand up, whatever, he just does it for like, he's like, okay, I did it. Now we can stop doing it. Like he'll do it for like
a beat,
about 10 seconds.
Yeah. I just saw him like a few months ago. He's a lovely man. He is not afraid to take swings at the right.
No, not at all. I mean, his movies have been doing it forever.
Yeah.
Also, just do yourself a favor and Google Bobcat Goldthwait. Darn it! He directed a lot of the Jimmy. This is late night show. Still, Jimmy Kimmel. He directed a lot of the Jimmy Kimmel. The night he quit, and then the last night he was doing it. He was doing a video of some music performance. So Google that. It'll probably just come up with just like. Yeah, and he decided to do about the guy was just like, I don't want my new nose shot. Please don't shoot my nose. And he knew he wasn't going to work there again the next day. So there's a scene where there's like 10 seconds of like all the different cameras zooming in on the guy's nose, and it went live on air. And him telling the story is one of my favorite storytelling moments ever. Yeah, it's very funny. Yeah.
Anyways, and that was Bobcat Goldthwait Corner.
Yeah, that's right. Every week,
our Sith movie draft over with. Did we do it?
Oh my gosh.
Sure.
Did you get yours in, Ben?
For like who we're gonna do? Yeah, no, Bane. It's got to be.
You're like Disney Plus has to do one series.
It has to be Bane for me. Because like I have a more shallow pool because I think you know a lot more about Ancient Sith, and I would love probably any Ancient Sith that I don't know about. I'd probably be stoked about, but I feel like the Bane story needs to be.
Well, yeah, it's the invention of the Rule of Two. It's kind of an important story. I don't know.
Bane or Plagueis.
Also, the Rule of Two being a misinterpretation of the dyad, like that whole thing you talked about after Rise of Skywalker and sort of coverage of that. Like,
I would say if I could adapt one story from Legends to become a feature, it would be Bane. Like I really don't think they should do it, and I don't think they want to do it. But like, if there's one thing they were going to just sort of adapt from Legends, I think the Bane trilogy should be it. Because it's like you get into the end of the Sith Empire and like, or the, that whole thing. Even though like you should probably spend a lot of time with the like Jedi Sith Wars, right? So maybe you do that and then it culminates in like an adaptation of Darth Bane, because I think that would be really fun. But I don't know if they'll do that in my lifetime, but they might do it.
I'd love it.
Those books are incredible.
Like there's because you come from this like wild place of like the Sith Wars. I mean, those like having a Sith army is just like mind-blowingly cool to begin with, and then you get into like the origins of Bane and what he like the crucible he put himself through, and then and then on, and then eliminating the Sith, and then sowing the seeds of the Rule 2, understanding the Rule 2, developing it, and then Darth Santa, who's amazing as well. Like it's just a phenomenal it's a phenomenal journey. And it sows the seeds for everything that we hold dear in the Skywalker saga. So,
Yeah, no, that'd be great. No, I think I like all three of these picks. I think I would love to see anything of films or premium, streaming show.
Yeah.
Love to see.
I like that, but like Tom Hardy as both Bane and Darth Bane, I think would be hilarious. Hilarious.
And it would add to like the metal fact. It would be even more metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be funny. Everyone would have laughs. All right. I think we did it for this week. I have no idea how long we've been podcasting, but it's probably been a long time. Next week, we are going to cover the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary from a certain point of view. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be wild. Yeah. We'll talk about some of our favorite stories. Please read that book if you haven't already. Just go through. It's just like it's a good it's a coffee table book. It's something to read at night. Something to put next to the toilet. Whatever you got to do. But it's like these like great little segments. Novellas that you can check out. Actually, I kind of want to go read it right now. It's gonna be super fun.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Fun. Yeah. So we'll be talking about our greatest hits from that book next week. Can't wait to do it. Thanks for listening to us talk about the comics this week. I hope you enjoyed the stories if you hadn't listened to them, and if you had, reminding you how much fun you had reading them. We go on. We'll see you at the bar again next week on Cantina Chronicles.
Yeah.